Good morning! It's Bradley McCalister, founder of Spirocraft, out here for Monday Methods on a warm and sunny South Georgia day. Going to be 75. I just turned on the AC. I got my fan going. A week ago it was winter time. Welcome to South Georgia. You just never know what you're going to get. Let's see. Corey's in here. Good morning, Corey. Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Arthur. Peter's in here. Dwayne. Good morning, everybody. So, and Brian popped in, as is always the case with electronics. So I turned on the feed for us there, and then I flipped on the entry, and I looked up, and it turns out that it looks like the wire to the overhead camera has decided to disconnect, which I desperately need. So, it is always something, and it was working before. I tested everything this morning, so everything's supposed to be right. So what I'm going to have to do, so you guys don't have to watch me get on the ladder, is I'm going to put it to the, I'm just going to give you the background screen for a minute, okay? Because I don't want you to have to see me clunking around. So I'm just going to jump to that background screen, and that cuts everything out as I get out my little handy dandy ladder. And I'm pretty sure, unless it just came unplugged up here, it shouldn't be a big issue. Hey, Don's here. Good morning, Don. What happened here? Oh, we went all the way off. Okay. Oh, I think I know what happened. I changed the power source for this camera and it went off. What a wonderful deal. Well, we'll fix that here real quick, and I can just keep on talking away. Have to make a little adjustment here for focus. So that's why I decided, hey, I'll just go to number 4, which is just the background, so that you don't have to see anything while I monkey about trying to make this camera do what it was doing properly just a little while ago. And of course, it never fails. It's always something. It keeps you on your toes. Makes live events really fun. But I'm not going to complain, because I really do have a good time out here with all you guys. I do appreciate everybody coming. And let's see, I think the chuck's in place. I'm just kind of guessing at my setup here. There we go. And I know I need to set it to manual focus, because it jumps to auto when it goes on and off. So we go there. All right, I think we're going to be good now. I appreciate your patience. Let's see. Don says, or Art says, you don't want us to see you stumbling down the ladder? No, no. Oh, Tim, hang on just a second. I'm live. I'm just a click away. I'm just a click away. I'm not far. I was right here. I wouldn't go off and leave you anywhere, guys. Let's see. Better get my watch off. Less safety, please. Plus, it's a cool new watch. Don't want to beat it up. I'll put it over here. Hey, I'm glad everybody jumped in this morning. This is going to be fun. It's going to be another little creative project, but hey, I like creative projects. Matter of fact, I live for creative projects. This is about making a mounting base and using these inserts, the brass inserts. We get these, we sell them, we get them from stainless steel bottle stoppers. They use them for all kinds of things. They're typical in the resin piece. That's going to be goofy green, I know. But it's in there. Let me go into overhead, and you can see that in there. And I turned off the key, so it shouldn't be the green background. So it's a little knurled brass insert, and I find these things are super handy. Okay, so I've got a couple of ideas today, and I'm just going to kind of go through different processes. And that key still isn't doing what it's supposed to. I still see the background in there. That's crazy, but hey. I don't know. We'll figure it out one of these days. It's chroma key. It's technology. But a lot of things we can do with it. And I got a couple of things in mind today. Right here. I left it on the thing when I was setting up. This is a chunk of sycamore. And I think we'll make like a little egg. Instead of doing resin today, I thought I'd do wood. So what I did on this is I have already inserted one of the brass ferrules in here, if you will, the brass inserts, and it's glued in with 5-minute epoxy. I do prefer epoxy over CA glue. I just think you get a better, stronger bond over time. So this is a project we're going to turn on and make a base. But what I want to do first is take another piece of resin, in this case, and set it up and do the drilling for you. But I got all these little props out here, and I'm looking down and I see, so here's the basic principle of what I'm talking about. This is a resin egg, got a little wooden base, and I'll go to the overhead for you and turn it sideways. So I came up with this idea. I don't think it's mine or anything. It's nothing earth-shaking, but it's pretty cool. With the brass insert in, you see we have a little bolt. These are 3/8 bolts, and this is the basic premise of what I want to show you today on how to make. So the little bolt, 3/8 or 3/16, 3/8, excuse me, bolt goes through. And again, I know that's going to be weird because it's green. But so we make a base, goes right on, the bolt goes in. So that's the project today. And everything, I've always got all these green pieces of resin around, which makes my key background do crazy things. Yes, as long as the threads match your mandrel. Well, which they do. We carry the stainless steel bottle stoppers mandrels, which are all matched to the 3/8 threads. And I find my mandrel, for those of you guys who hang with me on a regular basis, you may remember a little while ago, Monday, as a matter of fact, last Monday night, I wanted to do projects and I couldn't find my mandrel. Well, it was actually in a bag in the drawer, of course, the infamous drawer, and it was hiding with some feet. And the reason I keep it with these feet, this is another thing I've figured out. I'll show you guys all my little tips and tricks today. These little rubber feet, these are actually feet, extra feet from mini lathes. Again, it's just a 3/16 or I keep saying 3/16, 3/8 thread. But if you have a piece that you want to do finish work on, and this is your brass insert. Now, again, I'm going to show you something green, so it's going to look weird because of the key. But let's say you want to spray finish on a piece. All right, you can then set that. I can't put it anywhere. I'll put it here. What I'm saying, you get it. It's a base that'll hold it. So you can make your own. Just put a bolt in there. Super handy way to spray finish. If you like to do lacquer, and I do on these. So that's where it was hiding, for lack of a better excuse for Monday. Okay, so that being said, I've got this piece of resin that you saw yesterday possibly. I cast this on Monday as well. This is the piece that looks, especially in a picture, it looks very similar to wood grain, and I was really surprised with it. Now, in this camera, you can see, with the lights on it, you can see the extra glitter and sparkle and all that. So I thought the first thing I would do is mount this up onto the lathe. We'll get the chuck, we'll put a chuck on here, we'll mount it up, we'll drill the end and insert and glue in a brass insert, and then we're just going to set that off to the side. But I want to take you through the steps to show you how we do that. So I got a variety of different things around today. I got a couple different chucks out. I got all kinds of goodies out here today. Let's see. Yes, be sure to drill for the insert accordingly. That's correct. Or tap for external threads again. And I don't have, one thing I don't have here, I've got them, I think they're at my shop in Colorado, is a set of tap and dies. They're pretty handy for doing a lot of this kind of stuff if you need to tap something. The other problem I run into is I get resin or glue in the threads, and if I had my tap and die set, I could go back and clean those threads out. Just as does the screw thread cut into the resin. The mandrels are self-tapping. Now the thing with the resins is it depends on the resin, I think, and the hole you drill. So to date, I haven't had great success, Jeff, just trying to tap the resin. Some people do okay with it. At least I haven't had good success with it. So I'm using the inserts just to be safe. And that way I know I can take them on and off and on and off and different things like that. So they are self-tapping, the mandrels. but I have decided to go ahead and use the brass inserts more. Now, if I was just doing bottle stoppers and it was a wood that would the threads would cut and hold, then I'd probably just go ahead and do that, but I'd still put some glue on there after the fact. All right, that's the easy chuck. Ow, that's sharp. Don't poke yourself, Brad. Let's throw this piece of resin in here. And we're going to drill it with a 1/2 inch Forstner bit. And I'm trying to decide which end do I want to make the top or and the bottom. I'm going to make an egg out of it. And do I want the bottom to be dark or I want the bottom to be light? It's just one of those artistic kind of things. I think I want the lighter colors at the top because this is really dark down here on the bottom. There's some other color. I had dumped some spin gems in there and one thing and another. And so I think I'll put the insert into the bottom, into this bottom, so that will be the bottom. This will be the top when it's all said and done. So we'll pop this guy in the chuck. Now I'm not worried about it being perfectly aligned right now. And you can see it doesn't turn perfect because the top isn't perfectly flat. I'm not terribly worried about it. I mean, I could mess with it and try and get it there, but it's going to end up lining up over time. I might try and get a little bit closer than that. I mean, all we want to do is drill a hole in it and see if we can get it to hold there. Again, it's going to line up when we put it on the mandrel, so I'm not going to worry too terribly much about that. All right. And you can see here in the end view. Okay. So what I've got here, I'll go back to the overhead. I've got a big old Jacob's chuck with a 1/2 inch Forstner bit in it. And I was drilling wood with it here a few minutes ago. I've got my fancy depth tape on here. And I'm going to pop this into the tailstock. Now, this headstock rotates, and I checked it this morning. I checked the alignment between my centers this morning with the live center and a spur drive, and my points did line up pretty good. This is not precision drilling here. And that's why I kind of do like to use the epoxy. I get a little extra fill if I'm off by just a little bit. And I haven't got everything, I'm double checking that I got everything tightened up and make sure this is good and snug. And I'll give you the end view for drilling this. And I'll probably just drill it about, I don't know, 500 RPMs or so. Wrong button. That should be the end view, Art. Let's see. Yeah, there's 500. This is not rocket science. This is a 1/2 inch bit. 1/2 inch Forstner bit. If you get one of the resin kits from us, not resin kits, excuse me, the keyring kits, the resin keyring kit, if you get the, I think it's the advanced or deluxe one, it comes with it. We also, I'm pretty sure I have these listed. These are Freud 1/2 inch bits that we sell. Now this one that I'm using might actually be a Colt drill bit because before Colt drill bits went out of business, I used to sell them and I had a bunch of them. So there's our hole. We're good to go. And let's go to the overhead. Does the screw cut thread into the resin? The screw doesn't cut. The screw doesn't cut thread. The The mandrels will cut. The mandrels are self-tapping, Jeff. All right, make sure that that's all right and good. Okay, perfect. Let me see. Go. Yeah, that's in the overhead, so you can see that drops right in there. No problem whatsoever. Nice and flush. So to get it out, I just thread on a bolt real quick. And having a bolt around just to hold on to all this is pretty handy. I see now that I'm off to the side. So there's our setup. Now I'm going to mix up a little bit of 5-minute epoxy. I got a fresh batch from the hardware store at 7:30 this morning. I was out and about first thing today getting supplies and running around. All that good stuff. So we'll use the fancy mixing board here. You can see the paper here. We'll use the fancy mixing board. That overhead camera that wiggles like that, it's just hanging, because I don't have the light bar back up in here yet. It's just hanging in one of the outlet boxes that's been stubbed in for the electrical overhead. There's not even a bar up there yet. I can't believe that I could lose that cover that quick. There it is. It's hiding on me. So that little wiggle will go away one of these days. And if that focus, that's weird, and the focus I see here is in focus, but it's out of focus on Facebook. Interesting. So again, we don't need much glue. Epoxy. And this is a project for another day. But I'll go ahead and get it done up. I might want a little bit more, because there's a little more room in there. You don't need a ton. Now on the wood, it's interesting. When I drilled the wood this morning for our other piece, I actually got to drive it in with a hammer, with a mallet, not a hammer, but a little mallet. That might do the trick. And it was a nice snug fit. Sometimes I think that I'm still a little off on my centers here on the lathe. So I've got it on my little stick. I come in here and I just kind of coat the inside. Put it up on the rim there, because the piece is the brass is gonna pull it down in there on its own. The epoxy. And I take a little bit, the rest of it off of the card, and I put it around on the threads and just fill the knurls. Real simple stuff. All right. And we just simply drop that guy right down in there. Wipe off the excess from around the sides. Take my bolt out, because I might just need it. All right, and that's it. That's all there is to it. It's in there ready to roll. You can see there's kind of hides with those other colors, but so there's our brass insert. Now what's going to happen is eventually this will end up being mounted to the mandrel, and that's what will center it up. Okay, so that's how that's going to work, and I'll show you here in the overhead as well. That'll mount up like so. All right, cool beans. So that's all we got. That's all you have to do: drill the hole, drop the brass insert in, and you're set to jet and good to go for that. Again, I had this Jacobs chuck. This is a big old horse that I bought early when I first started turning. I was at a symposium somewhere with my dad, and they had this, and so I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna buy that." And I've had it around for years. I don't even know what brand it is. Harvest, whatever in the world that is. It does the job. I don't do a lot of drilling, so it's not critical for me. Drill presses will work fine as well. The other thing that I have, other things I guess, I have a couple more drill bits for drilling for the bolt, and these are our Forstner bits, and one is for the shaft, and I make it a little bit big. I think this is 9/16 for the shaft, so just to have a little bit of wiggle room if you need to adjust a little bit. And then this one is, I believe, 13/16. I popped them out of the box for the counterbore for the head to recess in there and give you enough room to be able to get a little wrench on there if you need to, or a pair of pliers to hold it. It's not like we're tightening down the lugs on a car tire, but you might need a little bit of room to put some needle nose on there. Good morning, Mark Thompson. Hope you're doing well. So a couple other drill bits here for our project today as well. All right, let's see. What's my next order of business? Because I've got a number of things here, and I'll just show you. Again, there's the blank that we're going to turn. Piece of sycamore. We're going to just make a little wood egg out of that. I've got a bunch, and this is what's cool about this. I've got a bunch of just different kinds of scraps of things that I went over to the scrap box, and all these little things that when you make like say you make a lidded box or something, and you have the base left over, or anything you part off, and you've got little chunks of wood. I don't know if you're like me, I save all these little guys for some project in the future. All right. And that's what I use. You know, I'd like to say I keep them all just for one thing and another. So we'll turn the sycamore piece as our egg today, and then we'll use one of these pieces, I don't know which one, as the base. Now, I need you guys to tell me something, because in my monitor camera, the wood is in focus, and my hands are in focus. On the Facebook feed that I'm looking at, the chuck looks out of focus, and the wood looks out of focus. So I'm not sure what the deal is there, because it looks fine in-house. But I'm watching an actual Facebook feed on another monitor, and this looks a little out of focus right in here, and I'm not quite sure what the deal is. If I'll watch it, and if it bothers me a bunch, I may go back up there and check that focus. I'm not sure what the deal is, and it may just be the 720 feed coming off of Facebook. I did check. Those of you guys who are here regularly, you know that a couple weeks ago I was having trouble. It dropped in and out a whole bunch. And turns out that the Ethernet wire cable that I was running from the switching box to the computer that actually runs the software that sends out the feed to the internet, that wire had some issues, even though I had been using it. Well, I've been using it on another computer for some reason. I don't know why I switched, but I did. And so that turns out that was my issue, just the wire. You never know with this kind of stuff. Wires just give you a hard time. So you guys are saying that it looks clean and clear. Good. That's great. I appreciate that. So I'll just charge along, and if something gets wacky, like I say, please let me know. All right. So let's see here. I think we'll have a little fun with this block of wood. Those of you who made it to the product showcase last Monday, which kind of took, good morning, Maria, kind of took the place of Monday Methods. I really appreciate it. We had a great day. I was tired after 12 hours of being, plus getting ready the day before and all that, but it was good fun. It was a good deal. People had got some great savings, so just a good thing all the way around. I don't use this much, or haven't used it much. We carry actually Sorby chucks, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to start using Sorby chuck for some of these projects, as well as a step drive. I talk about them sometimes. This is the 1 1/4" step drive, and it goes right in my jaws here. And this is what I'm going to use just to kind of hold on to this piece and make a little bit of a tenon on it, just to kind of get it going, get it roughed, get things in place. Fits right in there real nice like. reach my arm over there. I apologize for that. And in the overhead, that was the overhead. I meant to show you on the end there. I get you'd think by now that I would get camera 2 and camera 3 figured out. But I love these guys because they have a spring-loaded cone here, right in the center, which lets you move things back and forth. And now I'll go to the overhead. And you can see how that these spring-loaded step drives allow you to adjust the position. It's great. They're pretty cool. And we have step drives, and we have step centers that can go into tailstock, live centers, and we have number 2 Morse tapers that go on as well. Now what I'm going to do today, and I'll show you this, trying not to get ahead of myself here, but I'm managing to get ahead of myself. In the overhead you can't see, so I'll move it up here. There we go. I'm going to put a 60-degree cone on the tailstock, on the live center. And then this is the cone, the live center cone mandrel from stainless steel bottle stoppers. And it threads right into my threads here, which is going to help me line up this other end. Okay. Now it may not be perfect when we make this at first, because we're just roughing this out. And hopefully you can see that in the camera. It looks like you can't quite see it. And I got the camera too far zoomed out. But this goes right on the cone. I'm a little too tight on the camera, but I don't want to jump up there and change it. So you get the idea. That goes right on the cone. And I've already got kind of a center marked over here. Now, I can move this around if I want to. I don't think I'll need to. And so that's coming in and grabbing on the teeth there. I'll make sure everything's locked down. Okay. And so I don't have too much run out here, because eventually we're going to turn this around, and this is going to be on the headstock end, and that's what will be our true center. But for right now, we just want to get this guy roughed down into shape. All right. And I'm also, by having, I just put the glue in this end about an hour ago. So even though it's supposed to cure in an hour, I don't always trust everything. So we're giving it as much time to dry here as we can. There's what it's going to look like from the end view. I know the colors are different between the 2 cameras. I fight that all the time. It probably only bothers me, but that's just how I am. If one is white and the other is yellow, there's something isn't right in my world. Okay. All right. So let's get set up here. We'll just kind of knock this guy around. It's another piece of sycamore. Imagine that. And again, I think I'm just gonna make a little egg shape. Nothing fancy. It's more about the process than anything else. I'm not trying to win any art awards out here at Monday Methods. It's about methodology, not about perfect pieces. Always strive for your best. Don't get me wrong. But that's not really what we're here for. That's not what we're about. And I'll use Carter & Son spindle roughing gouge. It's a great roughing gouge. And let's see. I guess face mask. Hey, I should clean my face mask real quick. Has anybody got any kind of questions while I'm just kind of still catching up on the last of the things that I didn't quite get done before I went live this morning? I've been talking about the woodworking shows, and apparently I was wrong on the dates. Imagine that. The woodworking shows are now starting possibly the last week of February or the first week of March. First weekend of March. I guess the information I had was incorrect from back in December, and I must have missed the memo. So that's just a change of dates there with the woodworking shows, which means I think I will be out here doing some more product showcases between now and then. Don says, is the mandrel flat against the wood or insert? Are you referring to the drive center, the step drive here? Is that your question? Or are you referring to this mandrel on this end into the brass insert? This one doesn't go all the way in. It should on this end, because I've got resin. Imagine that. I've got resin on the threads. But the mandrel would be against the wood in this case today when it touches. It will be touching the wood. Yeah, the mandrel and tailstock, because my insert is just slightly below the surface of the wood. No, there will be no show in Tampa, Brian. It's still all virtual. It's just the virtual is starting later than I thought. I thought it was going to be a little bit sooner. But then again, I just go with what I know. So no, unfortunately, we won't be coming live to Tampa. Do I need to flatten the face of the wood? Well, looking at it, it's pretty darn flat. If it was way out of whack, Don, I would. But in this case, I'm going to not worry about it. It's pretty good because the amount that it's going to touch is so small. I mean, I might run a tool in here and flatten that edge up, that face just a little bit, just clean it up so that I know it's nice and flat. And that, because you can get vibration. That's the one thing with these mandrel types. It's not, you know, like again, I said you can't tighten them up like you would be tightening up a lug on a car. So you can get a little bit of vibration sometimes. And when I turn it around, you'll probably see me run the tailstock as well, just for a little extra support and to try and stop some of that vibration. Okay, I needed a quick sip there. I think I'm ready now. All right, we'll pop into the overhead here. Looks like I've got the camera in so tight you'll just barely see the tool. You'll just barely see the tool when we start to work, but it will come around. All right. Again, I check that everything is locked down, headstock, tailstock. Quill is tight. Okay, and we're just going to ease these off, ease this corner off of here. Again, I don't want to do anything too terribly radical resistance-wise, because I do have that glue is still curing. I was trying to get out here and get that ready a little bit earlier this morning, and I just didn't get to it as early as I wanted to. The sycamore is pretty wood. It'd be interesting to make a sycamore egg here today. I don't think I've made a wooden egg. I've made resin eggs. I don't think I've made a wooden egg. It will be pretty. It might be kind of fun just to leave it natural and make a goofy base. Who knows? You guys know me. There's no telling what I'll end up doing. And again, this is just working with scraps and leftovers of this and that and one thing and another. I learned from my dad, don't throw away the stuff that you can keep, hang on to. So I'm gonna go ahead and take these off for a minute, keep some fresh air in. So I do have my fan over here blowing on me today because it is a little A little warm, but I got the AC. I can't believe I'm running the AC in January. Well, then again, yes I can. All right, and we unthread the live center end, set that off, set our blank off. Take apart our drive. Pop the chuck out. I keep wanting to get some. It's kind of funny. It's going to be 75 today and 75 tomorrow, but it's going to rain tomorrow. And today I'm here, and then I've got a meeting this afternoon. So I've been waiting for it to get where I can do some yard work, and I'm not quite there yet. And I keep missing the weather breaks. So there is the mandrel that I couldn't find last week, and that threads right on. Of course, if yours truly here hopefully has his pliers around. I need to get a wrench. I need to check with stainless steel bottle stoppers, see if they sell the perfect size wrench for this, or I need to go find one. Because I'll beat it up with pliers if I keep using them too long on it. Okay, so now, and you can see, let me show you end view there. So you can see the mandrel's threaded, onto the shaft. It's got the threads, it's got a washer on it. Go to the overhead. And you do want to make sure I like to over drill them in length just a little bit, so I know that that I'm not going to come short and have the mandrel bottom out in the hole before it comes tight. So there's a little washer that helps keep it from sticking, and that's pretty snug. I don't want to make it too snug. It's going to tighten up a little bit. Oh, mentioned sleeves. Yes, the mandrels. This is the universal, and I don't have the sleeves for it. They do make sleeves for the mandrels that you can change the sizes of the shaft. So they call it a turn to. So when you have depending on your bottle stopper that you use, which I don't have. I put mine. Oh, I put them over here. They'll have a sleeve. They have a sleeve that can go on the mandrel so that you can make it exactly the turn to size, the same size as the diameter of the stopper itself. This is one of the threaded bottle stoppers from stainless steel that we've got, which goes right into the brass insert. And so they have bushings that go on the mandrel so that you can turn right to this diameter right here as well. Thanks for the heads up there on that one, Art. All right, so let's see how this turns. Out of curiosity, we're still in the overhead. So that's not too far off. Now, one thing I do want to show you, and Don, this kind of goes back to your question. See this little center I've got here? It may or may not be perfectly aligned with the true center of the piece once I turned it around. So I do want to come in here and just kind of clean up that face now. All right. So let's do that. Just to make sure that I have, and I'm going to make just a little bit of a depression in there as I go. And I'm just going to use a little spindle detail gouge here from Carter & Son. Just to make sure that that's truly centered. All right. Okay. So that looks pretty good. Now we come right in there. Okay, so now we get to have fun. We're good. We're nice and solid. We can start to shape our piece. And again, like I said, I'm not going to get crazy with making this some kind of super fancy, perfect shape. Just something so that we've got a piece to work with, so that we can then make our base. All right. Let's see. I think we'll just take a little bowl gouge to start roughing the shape here. So my egg, I'm going to make an egg, a wooden egg. This is my base, so I'll probably make it the larger of the two. I could go either way. You can have your eggs either direction that you want to. Raise that up a little bit. And let me go into the overhead for you. Even though it's a weird color when it goes to the overhead. Now, I am not an egg specialist by any means, so do not hold me to making a great shape today. I just have fun messing with it. This is also great practice for your tool work. It's a pretty piece of wood, especially on two sides. Now I need to make the bottom bigger, so we can always take away the top. I'm kind of committing myself a little bit here. I'll probably talk out loud a lot on this one as I think my way through my little project. I know you're going, that's the weirdest looking egg I've ever seen. It's going to get a little shorter here, that's what we're going to do. Challenge, make it a lidded box. I could, Jim, but I don't think I want to take that much time, but that's a great idea. I got an idea, Jim. I'll tell you what, you make a lidded box egg, mount it on a base, and share it in the Monday Methods wood and resin turning group, and we'll check it out. How's that sound? So this egg is going to be the small part's going to be on the bottom. The big part's going to be on the top. Of course, you could make any kind of shape. I could make an Aladdin jar here now at this point. It would be kind of fun. See, you could do just about anything with that. Go to the end here. You know, I'm going to carve this away, but you could do just about anything you wanted to with it. And just for fun, before I cut this off, just for fun, that's why I say it's good fun. You can practice all kinds of things. So I'm using a spindle detail gouge now. I'm not a finial kind of guy or anything, but you can do all kinds of fun things if you were so inclined. Again, I'm going to cut this away, but hey, who cares? So if I'm honest, I'm actually just having fun playing with a spindle detail gouge. You know what I mean? It's a weed pot, yes. It's kind of fun and kind of cool in its own way, you know. And again, you can still put it on a funky base. So this kind of project is not limited to just, you know, Bradley making an egg. Think about this yourself. There's a lot of different things that you could do, that you could utilize this base system to do. Myself around the corner here a little bit. Never pass up an opportunity to do real fine detail work, and I may like this so much I may leave it if I don't break it. Let's see here. Oh no, it's broken. The edges are broken right here. So that wouldn't do well anyway. You can see right here, the edges are broken away. But it was fun. That's a great place to practice. You know, you can never go wrong. Let's just go ahead and take this guy off. We'll come back to that. Now, the tricky part for me now is going to be, I've kind of committed myself to this shape a little bit. Let's see what I can do to resurrect it. This is great practice for those light, clean cuts and a nice shape. So I know you can't see, but you hear me talk about it often. Over here, I'll point with my thumb, where you can't see away is, well, you can see on the end camera. So over here, well, no, you can't see it there either. We'll try the front camera. Over here is my cabinet, and it's black. And so I can see the profile of this piece against the black background there. So it helps me have an idea. And it's great to have a background there. Raise up my mask. It's great to have a background that you can look at your profile against. All right? Helps you with great contrast so you can really see what you're doing. And I love this mask. You see how I flipped that up? And my audio is better, and I get a little extra fresh air and all that good stuff. I mean, the holes do a good job, but lifting it up is always nice. Okay, back to my goofball shape here, my little egg. Again, I'm not going to get carried away about this today. is a great time to practice making a nice clean cut. Okay. And then the second part of this project, once we finish up here, is going to be making the base accept this portion of our piece. All right. And again, you could decorate this, you could texture it, you could do all kinds of things, everything in the world to it, if you were so inclined. So let's clean this up a little bit. I keep ending up with little buttons on the top. Don't know what the deal is today for me. It must be something's telling me to leave it that way. Right? But they keep tearing out, so I'm going to cut it off again. Maybe another day. All right. I got a little hump right in here I want to take out from that last cut. And I'm not going to stress about this a whole lot today. And worrying about trying to make that shape perfect, because I don't want to spend all day just fooling with it. So I'd like to try and make this be my first grit of sandpaper. If I can get this nice and smooth, then I don't have to sand very much. I'd like to say it all, but I'm still human, a mere mortal. Making that transition around the corner is just a big change. So that end is looking nice. It's more like a gear shifter than an egg. It's kind of a funny egg, but you guys get the idea, right? All right, let's stop that and see how that looks. I'm going to go with that. Okay, so that being said, I think what I want to do is give this just a quick little sand, because it's pretty cool. And then I think I'll just wax this piece today. I think I'll just put wax on this and leave it all natural, so that usually I like to throw color at it and all that, but I think we'll give it a quick little sand here, nothing fancy. Throw some abrasive paste on it and put a coat of wax on it, and then our little wooden egg, just for sake of shape, is done. All right, so let me put you back in the overhead, and I'm going to go over here and find some sandpaper out of a drawer. And we'll just sand this up real quick. We'll start with 220. Like I said, I'm not going to get carried away. Nothing crazy. Looks like you can see better in the end camera. It's amazing if you'll take, like I'm doing today, this is all scrap wood, just left over from something else, some other project. And yet it's a great way to hone your skills, work with your tools. You don't have much invested. Got nothing in the wood because it's scrap. Little brass inserts are not expensive. But it's a great way to practice with your tool skills. You could see how I was using that spindle gouge and just trying to make as nice and smooth and clean a cuts as I could. so I don't have too much sanding to have to do. Because I hate to sand, especially in this room with all the cameras. Okay, so that was 220. I know I've got some 320 over here in the infamous drawer. And we'll go from 320 to abrasive paste. We'll keep this moving right along. So I got news for you. This studio shop has a ton of northern exposure, and the north side of this thing is cooking right now because it's only literally about 60. Nah, it's probably 68, pushing 70 now. But I've got the AC running full tilt in here, and it's getting warm. I can feel the heat on the one side of the building because of the angle of the sun is still so low. Okay, so like I say, we're not going to get carried away there. Let me get, where's my abrasive paste hiding these days? I don't always have a plan, imagine that. You guys know me. A little bit of that Yorkshire grit stuff. Just a quick easy go here. Start out with the coarse. Just let this be a nice natural piece of wood today. Go to the overhead camera for you there. So I like to just go ahead and coat the whole thing. There's a little bit of, see this black in here? That's a little bit of mildew from being in the south too long with this piece. Now I've got some black bison paste wax somewhere around here. I don't know if I will find it or not. If I don't, I'll just leave the microfine as my wax finish on here. Another little dab. Again, I didn't go through the steps of the sanding, sealer, and all that. Like I said, we're not trying to win any awards. We're trying to show you how to make a base with a threaded insert that you can use on all kinds of different things. Now I may have to dye the base. I may have to paint it. God knows I'll do something different to it. I do believe. See how that looks after the course? Pretty nice. You can see in the end camera, the light's a little bit better. It really is a pretty piece of wood. Secondary microfine polish just to smooth it up a little bit more. Yeah, this piece of wood would be really cool if it didn't have a little bit of that the mildew stains in it. One more little batch on there. Now the second half of the fun part of this is making a base that looks nice to this, and that's why I said I don't want to get carried away on any one portion of this, because we've still got some fitting to do here going forward to make our base. Again, we're working with scraps, small pieces of wood, so if you don't get it right on the first round that you're trying, you know, like say on a shape, especially with the base, because you don't have any brass insert in it or anything, then just take another piece and do it again. Make another one. Okay. It would be a nice shift knob in a truck. Get right down to it. Okay, so it's kind of egg shape. It's kind of egg shape. Now, cut me a little slack. You know, like I say, it's close to an egg. It might be a weird egg, but it's close. Now the hard part, of course, is this is going to be getting it off of here. There we go. Not too bad. I did get glue or resin on the threads of these one time, and that's why things are so tight. Of course, that's fine, as long as everything works. So there we go. And here's our actual bottom, and you won't ever see the bottom, okay? So that's fine. And there's our piece, you know, coming off of there. And just a nice little piece of wood, okay? All right, so let's set this off and get ourselves organized for a base. Let's think about how we want to do it, what we want to make. I believe we can go back to a chuck. We're probably done with the mandrel at this point. I think next time I go over to the big city, I was looking for some stuff this morning at the hardware store, and I'm in a little town. Technically we've got 3 stoplights and 1 hardware store. And our grocery store, our only grocery store, is closing for a couple of weeks because it's changing hands. So I was looking for some things that I just can't get here. I have to go to the big city of Statesboro, home of the song Statesboro Blues from Blind Willie McTell for you blues people. And that's where our box store of Lowe's is, and some more things like that. And a Harbor Freight, and I may just go to Harbor Freight and get a cheap wrench for taking that on and off. Okay, so I got all these little pieces of here, these little bobs of wood, and I think for this project, you know, I don't want anything big. This one is large and shallow, doesn't really matter at this point exactly. And this is the fun part, the creative part, because you just I'm going to make this up as I go. It's fun. As you figure out what you need, most of the key is about drilling the holes and making the match to the fit to the base. So I'm looking at between my choices of wood here. Again, I've got this one, but this is way too big. And it's a piece of redwood, glue up redwood. I just grabbed a bunch of stuff. I wasn't sure where I was going with all this today. I like to just make it up sometimes and wing it, as some folks say. Yeah, I should get a crescent wrench. I got them somewhere. I got a lot of things somewhere. Let's go. I think we'll use this little guy right here. I think we'll use this one. It's a little bit taller. I think that's what I'm going with. Okay. I lose more tools than I ever get to keep around. So the first thing that I'll do, and we'll be using the end camera a lot, is I'll just kind of true this up, and then I'll start working on the profile to make this piece actually fit down inside here. So that's going to be the next major step in our project. And once we have a fit pretty well worked out, then I'll drill the holes. I'll drill the hole all the way through, and I may turn it around and hold it the other way and drill the countersink for the head of the bolt, and then drill all the way through. It just kind of depends on how it plays out. So and this is another piece of sycamore. I'll put that in forward before I even get started here. And I'm betting I can take this tailstock away. We don't need that. There we go. That looks pretty good. Okay. We'll go to the end camera. I think that gives you probably the best look at what's going on. I think. Safety glasses, safety shield, face shield. So
Brian, even if I had a crescent wrench, do you think I'd be able to find it when I needed it? You know? Alright, let's see. Let's just knock some of this out of here. So I have to try and come up with a shape on the fly here, which is nothing out of the ordinary for me, that will go with this guy. I don't want it to overpower. Give myself a little more speed. Okay, so we'll start thinking about it. Come up in here and in the overhead, start thinking about how this is gonna set down inside. How much do we want it to recess down inside? How much of this do we want to hide? How much do we want to expose? Okay. Let's go ahead and start going inside on this guy a little bit, and I'll try and keep this tool rest kind of out of the way to a degree if I can, and switch to a smaller tool. I might lower that down just a fuzz. Now I'm going to leave this outer wall thicker because I'm not 100% sold on that shape yet. I just kind of want to start playing with this. This is a little detail spindle gouge. Oh, don't do that. Okay. Alright, because the key is going to be having this outer edge come right up flush to the outside of this. At least that's in my mind, that's what I want it to look like. Okay. So I need to go deeper on the inside. And then I may bring the outside up to meet it. Okay, and in the overhead, you can still see best from the end camera there. Okay, so I'm starting to get a decent seat right there. There is a shadow, which makes it kind of hard to see. And so one thing I'm going to do is I want to cut flat across this. Because it's got a little roll in it right now. And also, you want this edge right in here, this edge to be beveled down just slightly as well. Okay. So believe it or not, what I'm actually doing is I'm watching in the camera monitor because I can't quite see the end as I do this. So it is handy to have your a camera around to see what you're doing if you can't quite see it all. So there gives you an idea of how the fit is starting to look there. All right. Again, we can do all kinds of things. You can get as crazy as you want to with your base. Again, I'm going to keep it simple today for the sake of what we're doing, just demonstration wise. All right. Now, one thing I've done to myself, and I'll figure this out, is my hole. I don't have a solid surface here to turn around. I have a cone. So I'm going to figure this out, what I'll do, how I'll drill this and hold this to be exact, because I'm not 100% on what I'll do, but I'll figure something out here. I'll come up with a plan. What I may end up doing is, let me look at a set of jaws here. That's one of the fun things about these kind of projects. Okay. So I may make it to where I can grab that. Turned around right there. So let's have a little fun here. My kingdom for a pencil at the moment. Wasn't thinking that I'd need a pencil. But a pen will do. Okay. Just playing with the theory. Remember, it's just a piece of wood. Problem solving, that's the fun part sometimes. Okay? And I'm just thinking live under pressure. Hey, it's okay. I don't mind. Again, I don't need much of the surface here. All right, I think that will do what I want. Okay. You'll hear me say okay a lot as I think through my little process here of what I'm going to do, how we're going to make this work, we hope. I'm going to change chucks, and I could be all wet. I could be leading you down the wrong trail, but I think I'm on the right path here for what I have in mind. Again, I love the problem solving aspect of making uncommon things, you know. Get in there. Oh, this is really a bad day because you won't believe this one. The insert, there we go, was turning. All right. It's not one thing, it's another. I don't have my little washer on there. Pop the easy chuck on here. Get those out of the way. do a jaw change. Okay. Like I say, it's pretty handy, you know, I don't have to take the mask all the way off, but I can get some fresh air and everything works through. Because if you ever had anything happen that you weren't thinking it was going to happen, pop up in your face, that's why I really do like this mask. And finally I've got them available, which is cool. I hear the pandemic's getting better. The COVID's receding, so they told me on the morning news anyway. So we'll see what happens. All right, so here's what I'm up to. So I made that little shelf. Just enough to hold that. Okay. Just enough to hold that. Okay, good deal. Put this out of the way. So the question becomes, well, do you want to take the tenon off now or not? Yes, I do. I'm going to go ahead and take the tenon away. I mean, I'm thinking through here as I say that. I'm going to take the tenon away, and when I turn this around again, I'm going to hold the base, the actual base. So I will make some turns here. That's going to be my base. So indeed, let's take the tenon off. Let's see, what's the background noise? Background noise, it could be the fan blowing, it could be the air conditioner. There's a compressor, there's an electronic noise gate on the microphone system that you may hear open and closing. Otherwise, you may hear the fan blowing, Jim. Don says, why do you tight the Sorby chuck through the jaws but the Easy chuck through the Allen key? Because the Sorby chuck has a ball head on it, and you can't get leverage with it. So there's a different kind of wrench for the chucks. So we always want to make sure that this surface is concave, just so that it sits on the very outer edge of things. All right. Again, we're not going to see down in here at all. So I have to decide if I want to do anything out here to this profile before I turn it back around. I'm going to make a little flat section. I'm going to make a little flat section right here. It's already kind of there, but I want to enhance it a little bit, so that I can hold it in the chuck, and it'll just be part of the base. Again, just enough to kind of give us a little surface to grab a hold of. Okay? And I want to clean this up, because when we turn this around, we'll clean it all up, but I won't be able to get to this area right in here. So very carefully, without touching the jaws, just come right down through here and clean that up. Right up close, but not quite touch. Okay. And a little bit more flat here. It's got a little funny profile to it. There we go. Okay, cool beans. Now, let's set up for a little drilling. We'll bring our tailstock back up. Pop you back here so you're not just staring at that stuff. So first I'll drill, that's the bit we were using before, I'm going to drill the counter bore for the head of one of the bolts. Pop you an overhead here. So we'll use the countersink hole, if you will. This is 13/16. Now your specifications may vary, just depending on what you're working with. I was going to show you another thing today. I was trying to find just a threaded, not thimble, like a threaded coupler at the local hardware store, but they didn't have anything, because you can actually mount two different pieces together. Let's say you had a tall piece you wanted to build, or a big base and a smaller piece, and you wanted to mount them together. We could put a brass insert in either side, and then have just a threaded. Think of it as a lamp rod, but they didn't have the right threads around here, and have the brass inserts in there, and then have the rod, and then just run them together to make one piece. So you could do that. We'll dial this down to drilling speed. Pop you on the end camera there. Again, so this is the recess for the bolt head. And again, in time, if you end up doing this a lot, you might want to dial up your tolerances. If you've got a socket that you use for your piece, it looks like a 1/2 inch. If you had a thin wall socket, depending on what you want to do, again, you're not going to tighten it up a lot, but we just want to make sure. So I give myself a little extra room there. Okay. Then I switch over. I think this should be 9/16. I think it is. Yeah, this is the 9/16. And again, I give myself a little bit of wiggle room. You can dial it in tighter if you want to. Okay, and this is going to go all the way through. Now I'm going to make a couple of passes here. Make sure that cleans out. And I should be all the way through. It feels like it. Double check it with. Yep, okay, so we're clear. We're all the way through now. Now again, The bolts, I just ran up and grabbed, I think a 1 inch, inch and a quarter, an inch and a half or something like that at the hardware store this morning. So there we come through, and super simple for our bolt. It's going to come in, show you in the overhead, and also the washer. Now I didn't measure the washers for this because I was hustling along this morning, so that washer may not fit in that. They don't have much of a supply selection at my local hardware store, so we'll go without the washer here this morning. But at a decent store you can find the perfect match, or drill your counterbore hole a more appropriate size for your washer. All right, so there we are with that. Now we can start to test, and I am on the overhead camera. This bolt may be a bit too long. Nope. So that's, we get a nice nice fit right there. And you can see, I see my my flip-up face shield gets in the way there. Let me just take that thing all the way off right now for the moment. I'll show you in the end camera so you can see up close. Now, you know, again, not necessarily any fancy design or anything, but this works great. All right. It's just the principle, the concept that we're after here. Imagine that this was like one of those beautiful resin eggs that I gave my mom. She really wanted, I don't think Mom's in here, but if you are, hey Mom. She wanted the one that I've got with the holographic foil in it. It looks like a light bulb. Yeah, it's a great idea, right? It's, you know, see the pun there, Brian? The light bulb idea. So, oh good. Dad's here. All right, cool beans. So I can go back into a chuck, and I can just use these jaws if I want to, if I'm feeling lazy. I mean, it's spread way out, but again, we're not doing anything too terrible much. And remember, we've already cut that and cleaned that all up. Okay. So I just get a hold of it just a little teeny bit there. And then it's just a matter of what do we want to do to this surface in a decorative fashion. You know, we've got plenty of wood. We don't as long as we don't mess with this edge right here, as long as we leave that very profile right there alone, we can do anything else in here we want to. All right. Sky's the limit of what we would do or could do there. So I'll just make something up here. We'll do a little something to it. Who knows? Because it's a little big. You know, it's got no style to it whatsoever at the moment. And I'm sure that whatever I come up with is not going to be the most elegant thing that you've ever seen or somebody's done, but that's okay. Let's see here. Let's go over here for you. And I'm just kind of thinking out loud to myself. Just something simple here. I don't really have my elegant design hat on this morning. can chew this up a little bit. As long as I don't take away anything from that inside edge, I'm fine. Right there. Okay. Let's clean this up some more. A little more speed. And let's see, since I'm having fun today, just for yucks, I'm going to come right in here with a parting tool. Okay. One could, you could do an inlay right in this groove. That might be something that would add, you know, a little pizzazz or something like this. Do a stone inlay, a spin gem inlay, crushed opal, anything like that. You could do, you know, colored resin if you use the gel style resin. So a lot of things you could do there. You could texture this if you had your texturing tools out. You could texture that up. What I think I'm going to do today is dye this, put some dye on it, give it a little bit of color. All right. Okay, let's see here. Pop her out of there. So we didn't mar this up too much. We didn't really mar it up at all. That's good. With the base like it is, here's here's an idea I've got. Let's try something here. Just because I'm having fun and I've got the time, I'm looking at the clock, 12:36. So how do we sand that? How do we finish that up? We've kind of taken away some of our holding methodologies. So let's try something a little bit different. I'm always for trying different things, and I like to try them right here. And if they don't work, then you'll know it didn't work, and you don't have to worry about trying it again in the future. Oh, I do want to let's see if I can't find my little washer. Little washers, here's little yellow washers. These will help. Little plastic washers sometimes keep these from sticking so bad. All right. So what I'm thinking here is I'm going to put, where did it go? My spur drive or my step drive back in there. Not sure where I put it at the moment. I thought I had left it out here on the counter. There you are. I did leave it out here on the counter. It's only a little room and I still lose track of stuff. So since we're not going to really see the bottom of the base, I'm not worried about how it looks after I drop the handle. So if I have some marks in the base underneath, what you're going to see, it's not the end of the world. All right. I'm going to take my live center cone, bring it up onto my piece. And as you can see here, the cone slips right up on there. And I give that a little bit of a spin by hand. Now we don't need much
and we could actually turn on it like this if we wanted to. So we could turn some more profile in this if you wanted to. Now we have the whole piece completely exposed. And again, you're not going to see underneath here, so you don't care, right? But we wanted to get a chance to sand this, put some color on it, all that good stuff. But in this way, we've got it with a step drive holding it here with the teeth and using your 60-degree cone inside the piece. It just happens to work in this case. You might have a completely different shape, and you might end up doing a different kind of cone shape to hold it. Let's see. You might end up with something else up in here. Just be creative. There's a lot of ways to hold things. So don't ever think that you're shot down. All right? Okay, let me see here. What am I thinking? A quick sand on this, and then some dye. Is what we're going to do. Quick sand and some dye. Nothing fancy, nothing extreme. Get that out of the way. So I hope this inspires you to try some, get some of the little brass inserts from us. We've got a bunch of them. And take some of your scraps and start making some interesting little fun pieces and some bases and combining them together. See what kind of ingenious ideas and things you can come up with. Again, this is nothing fancy. This is just some kind of shape that I made just to make a shape. Again, it's not about what I was making today. It's about how you went about it. Okay? And you can see I don't have much pressure on here because I don't want to split this top out. All right. Now this grain, it's got some interesting grain to it. I could sand on that tool mark right there, but I'm not going to, as I'm not worried about this. I'm trying to decide what color do I want to throw on here today, right? Run over here and look in my box of colors, my cabinet full of colors. And we've got that natural brown wood there. And I'm just trying to think what color maybe I haven't used to see. I was going to grab green, then it just dawned on me that, well, green you won't be able to see. With the key, the chroma key going on. This looks like a nice blue. I think we'll go with that. I think we'll go with that. Get out a fresh brush. All right. Do as I say, not as I do. Don't put dye on your. Oh, I love how the color came back around on that overhead camera now. Don't do dye colors on your lathe. It'll get all over the bed. But they come right off with a little denatured alcohol. So this is one of the early bottles from Chromacraft that just has a color spot on it. It looks like it's either violet or cobalt, one of those darker colors. I get to play with mystery colors sometimes. It would be cool to do something like I'm saying in this little groove right in here, to do some kind of a shiny, sparkly fill to it. And I'm just going to keep brushing this on here for a minute or so and let it keep soaking in. Because it is taking it in pretty well. Again, if I was to actually, like come up with ideas before I started with shapes, they might come out a little more interesting. But again, I'm not worried about that really. I want to show you the process of going through and doing this. Okay. Now I'm going to let that sit for a minute, just a minute. We'll let that sit so that it'll dry enough to where I can take it off of the end and then just dye the top edge so that we don't see that. And then we'll bolt her together and she'll be, basically done. So it's a great little process. It's fun. It's easy. Oh, I have System Mechanic wants to come up on my screen over there. Don't you love it when you use computers to overdo your stuff? Let me run over there and fix that just so I don't have to look at it and you don't have to look at it. That's actually in the computer that runs the background. My control booth person is off today. So I have to do it myself. Okay, and this dye is drying really fast, so that's all good. Now that that's gone, this will be a little bit more. It's a great way to make things work. Again, not very many parts. Little brass insert, a couple of drill bits that you probably already got around. Well, Art, you're not here to punch buttons, buddy. Don says, do I put anything over the dye like a wax or whatever? I would probably put not so much a wax. I have found in the past if you try and wax over the dyes, it tends to kind of burn down on it, burn it through a little bit. You have to be careful. You'll get an uneven color. I would typically put on a satin or gloss lacquer or the WRU20 water-based urethane that seals it, but it doesn't put a high build finish on it so that it is sealed. I really like that stuff. I'm looking at a bottle right over there on the counter. So with the colors, I wouldn't typically try and do a wax that's going to be a wax finish that you're going to polish or buff. Okay? Have I ever determined a formula for mixing the dyes for different colors? Jim says. Yeah, I call Chromacraft and ask them if they can make another color. There's 16 colors I think there are right now, Jim, and I'm okay with 16 colors. I've tried to make other colors in between. You can do it easily. You can make a color easy. The repeatability is the harder part. And again, I would go with a small syringe and real small increments. It doesn't take much to make a difference. I want them to do a whole palette for me of pastels. And I asked them several years ago, would they do a Dr. Seuss palette of pastel colors for me? And the chemist looked at me and said, really? Just get out of my office. Go away. You don't really want this? And I said, yeah, actually I do. So I've never bothered or worried about trying to come up with my own blend of colors, Jim, because I think repeating it is going to be really hard. Not that you can't do it, but I don't know that you'll ever get it exact again, at least exact enough. Eyedropper would work, but again, you've got to be able to measure that. There are enough dye colors out there. It may not be in the one brand that you might work with the most, but there are lots of different colors. So if you're looking for something special, I think you can probably find it somewhere without having to try and create it, because they're making it in huge batches with the methodology at their disposal to make it the same every time. So I think I would chase looking for the color that I want from whatever source before I would try and make a color that I needed to repeat. Now, if I don't need to repeat that color, have at it. Play with it. It'll be a one-time deal, and you'll be all good. Okay, so let's pop this guy loose here. And if I'm really lucky, but I don't think I'm going to be, it'll stay stuck. Nope, it wouldn't stay stuck. So I just want to make sure that you can't see any color on. I'm going to give it just a little teeny brush around the edge here because it needs just a little bit. So let me pop you on the overhead here. Just to pick up a little bit of color. And I'll go ahead and do the inside just to be safe. And the reason I wanted to be careful is I don't want to get a second coat on the outer edge here, because if I do, then I've got literally a second coat and I'll get different colors going on. Okay, so we'll give that a second to dry, and again, it's going to dry really quick, and we'll just set this off out here. Again, I don't have the right size washer because they only had one size to choose from at my wonderful local hardware store. And I think we used, we'll see which bolt we need to use here. That one should work. So let me pop you into the overhead. I've got my bolt in there. Again, I would recommend a washer in there. Again, I only had a quick amount of time this morning. So the beauty of these is you can put them together and take them apart, right? So I could take this back off when this dye dries and put my finish on it. I mean, I could spray some finish. I could brush some finish on there right now. The dye isn't dry though. Not much of a backdrop there with the chuck. But that's how it works. It's quite simple. And, you know, over time, one of the beauties would be that you could, if you decided that you didn't like that base for a piece, you could make a new base and just have the piece. So if the piece was stellar and the base was horrible, or vice versa, if you made a really cool base and you had a light bulb for its piece on top, well, then make a new piece on top and keep the really cool base. So quite simple to do, super easy. A bolt and a brass insert, and again, it works with the resin. Like I say, we've got the resin. You know, when I show this, is probably going to go wonky color, but you can do this with resins. You can do it with wood. You can do it with just about anything. And it's a great little way to make a piece. And again, that would look cool once there's a shiny finish on there. And I'll set that there. There's not much of a color thing. Let me see if I can't find something to set it against. Let's get it off of there. I don't know what it looks against the gray wall. I'll step out of the way. It's probably right in the window, knowing my luck. Oh, I've got an idea. So I wasn't super happy with the butterfly from Monday. It's like the worst looking butterfly I've ever made. But I really do like the pink that I got using the magenta dye. And this actually now, speaking of finish to Dawn, this has got a couple of coats of the water base, the WRU20, and you don't see really a finish. It looks natural, and it's not been sanded or anything. So it's sealed up with that, and the dye is sealed, it's protected, but it doesn't look like a high build, high sheen finish. But anyway, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put the stencil back on and cover all the wood, leave the butterfly exposed, paint it black, and then I'm going to use the cloud paints, and I'm going to make myself an iridescent cloud paint butterfly on here, trying to choose colors that will complement with the pink on the background, just for fun. Again, because the butterfly is pretty atrocious actually, and I thought about it. I go, what could I do with this? And I just came up with this morning. So I'll put the stencil, the peel-off stencil, back over the outside, leaving the butterfly exposed, paint it black, let it dry, and then come in with the cloud paints with the stencil still in place, do iridescent cloud paint colors to my butterfly, and then peel the stencil back off. So that's my plan there. I just thought I'd share that with you since it was sitting right out here on the counter. But so that's pretty cool. Again, and you can take it apart to put the finish on. So I'm quite pleased with the way that worked. I would be a fan of lacquer on that. Oh, yeah, so that was right in the window. So let's see if I put it over. Now that I can see where it ends up going, I'll put it over here. No, it won't sit there, but I'll hold it there for a second. And now it's up against the gray wall. And you get to see a little bit better contrast there. Okay, a lot of fun, super easy to do. Lots of different things we can play with this. So it looks like, hey, it's all but 1 o'clock. So I'm on time. I'm not going to run long today. That's good. I'm pleased and I'm happy. So I'll set this back over here. Again, I got a couple of minutes. If anybody wants to throw a question out at me, I'm more than happy to answer. Anything if you've got questions later on in the day about the step drive or the bolts or the brass inserts, anything that I used today, let me know. You can get to me through Messenger on Facebook. You can get to me through email. Those are the best ways to get a hold of me. Messenger, I usually answer pretty quick because it's in my pocket. Email, I kind of live and breathe with it. It's in my pocket as well. Be happy to work with you on anything that you might have questions about. It's a great way to make bases and support pieces for your projects. Again, let me throw out that the woodworking shows is not starting the first weekend in February, but possibly the last weekend of February or the first weekend in March. So I'm going to do another product showcase. I won't do the 12-hour marathon with the three 3-hour sessions with the breaks. That was a long day, but it was a good day. But I'm gonna dial that in. It worked well. I learned a lot of things. It was a shakedown run in a lot of ways, and that's how we get these things figured out and make them work better. So, good fun. I have a wonderful time out here. I really appreciate everybody who comes by. This will be back up. This will be on YouTube. I mean, it's up on YouTube right now as we're speaking. I don't think there's anything much I need to edit out of today's event. And so it's been a lot of fun. I really appreciate everybody coming by. I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. So I'll pop you to, let's see if I can't find some kind of way to, there's no way I can leave this as the end picture without, I can do that if it'll stay and get it to stay flat just as I walk away. No, it doesn't want to cooperate. I need a way to be able to, because of control, I need a way to automate my exit from the events. There we go. Now, of course, it's out of the camera. I can't win on that one. Let's try that. There we go. Okay, so I will leave it at that. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. Have a great week. If I don't see you before then on some little thing I do out here, I will see you next Monday. Again, if you have any questions, holler at me. Happy to answer. Happy to help you out. Have a great time. Have a great day. Let me get my mouse to work. Come on, where's the, well, there we go. All right, and we had no buffering today. Cool beans. All right, thank you, everybody. Have a great week. Bye now.